Trust me when I tell you, there is nothing more delicious than a homegrown potato. Besides a homegrown tomato, or lettuce, or carrot, or anything. Okay, well, anything homegrown is absolutely delicious. This is why you're gonna give this a shot. Hey everybody, I am your girl Kiki Soto and welcome back to Urban Girl Gardening. Today we are going to be talking about potatoes. We are going to be talking about growing potatoes in containers, and this video is specifically for beginner gardeners. And y'all, today is a glasses kind of day because my eye is irritated, but we're gonna see this through. And speaking of the blind leading the blind, I know y'all can see that subscribe button. I know y'all can see it because only half of y'all are doing it. So what is the problem with the other 50%? I don't know. But if this video doesn't convince you, there's a 80-something others that you can go take a look at and then hit that subscribe button. Okay? All right. In the meantime, let's get things going. So potatoes are one of the easiest vegetables that anyone can grow. Okay, I really want to encourage all my beginner gardeners, first time gardeners, backyard gardeners, urban gardeners, terrace gardeners, balcony gardeners to grow potatoes. I mean, it's money saving, it's super easy, and you can just take your time, chill out and watch it grow. There's no pruning, there's no cutting back. It's super easy, and I want everyone to give it a try. Now, the benefits of growing your own potatoes: you don't have to buy anymore. Your potatoes can be grown through the late winter all the way through to the early winter. Yes, potatoes are cold hardy, and then you can store them for the rest of the season until you get ready to plant again. And guess what? You're not gonna have to buy seeds. You're not gonna have to buy cuttings. You're not gonna have to buy transplants, any of that. All you're gonna do is save a potato from your last harvest and replant over and over again. Okay, it's that simple. I have this box of potatoes here, and this box is from two 5-pound bags that I had in my basement in our storage area. Completely forgot about them, and these are from the grocery store. These are not the ones that I'm planting yet though. These I'm letting the tubers get a little bigger, and they've actually gotten bigger since last night. If you saw my post on Facebook or Instagram about the potatoes, you can probably even tell that these sprouts got a lot bigger. But anyway, so these are from the store. These are the potatoes that we'll be planting today. These are little baby potatoes that have been sitting on my counter that have also started to sprout, and I am just going to throw them in the soil, throw them in the dirt, and we're going to plant them in containers. In containers. So if you have a grow bag, if you have a planter, if you have a bucket, make sure it has some drainage holes and we can get started. I'm going to be using this planter here. We're going to be using some of our container mix that we made last week. Or was it the other day? Is it still this week? I don't know, child. But y'all was here. Y'all seen we made some container mix, and it was light and fluffy and airy, and that is exactly what your potatoes need because they are a root vegetable and they grow under the soil. So if you have tough soil and you're growing them outside, it's not going to work. But in a container, you have a choice of what you can put in that container to help your root veggies grow. And in this case, we're talking about potatoes. Potatoes are part of the nightshade family, which means they're related to tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, ground cherries, pimentos, all of those veggies. But unlike those veggies, you don't need anything but another potato to sprout. Now, there are such thing as potato seeds, and I actually am experimenting with some now. We'll see how that goes. You can grow potatoes from the grocery store. I just showed you guys. I got this big old box and I am going to give it a try. Will they actually grow? Some people have great success with growing potatoes from the grocery store. Some people do not. You may not exactly have much success growing potatoes from the grocery store unless you buy organic. And that is because, according to studies and testing done by the Environmental Working Group, potato had more pesticides on them than any other type of produce tested. And all your vegetables that you find in the grocery store that aren't organic are heavily sprayed. And that is so that they do not do this. We don't want our food sprouting, we want to keep it pretty, we want it to look nice. But honey, food does not always grow pretty. But it's always more delicious when you grow it yourself. And trust me when I tell you, there is nothing more delicious than a homegrown potato. And besides a homegrown tomato, or lettuce, or carrot, or anything. Okay, well, anything homegrown is absolutely delicious. This is why you're gonna give this a shot. So since it's not guaranteed that you'll get great growth from supermarket, grocery store potatoes, then where do you get your potatoes? Or your potato seed? Well, you would buy a potato, but you would buy it from an organic market, like Whole Foods, where you guys saw my husband and I, we went and we bought our sweet potatoes, our turmeric, our ginger, and we bought some potatoes that are still sprouting, they're still growing their eyes. So we'll be catching up with those potatoes in a while. You can order them online, and they're kind of costly and they go fast. So if you're going to order seed potatoes, now is the time to do it. You can also find them at your big box stores. Right now, here in upstate New York, I haven't seen any seed potatoes yet. So if you don't have potatoes sprouting right now, just go to the grocery store and buy some organic potatoes and leave them out and let them start to grow eyes. Potatoes can tolerate a frost, they cannot tolerate a hard freeze, which is why I'm growing my first round of potatoes in the container in the first place. Easy mobility. If it gets too cold outside, I can just grab the container, bring it in, or I can take some of this straw, I don't know if you guys can see it in the background, and I can mulch it up, I can keep it warm, I can put a cover over it. So we'll continue to talk about these buds, but we're gonna talk while we work. Okay, so I'm bringing you guys down, and I'm super sorry about the glare, but I got things growing and they need some light, so that's just the way it is. Bear with me. So before we start to grow our potatoes, if you are using large potatoes, I have two kinds here, and I told you guys these are baby potatoes. These here. And then I have a potato that was sitting on my counter and I cut it up, but I cut it so that it can start to dry. You want to make sure that you cut your potatoes into pieces. You make sure you have 2 or 3 eyes on each piece, but you cut them and you let them dry out for at least 2 days. I'm gonna say at least 2 days. And that is because you want this to kind of scab over so that your potatoes don't rot. We don't want that. We want these to grow. We want food. We don't want to waste our time either, because potatoes take 80 to 100 days to grow, which is why we are growing in succession. And I'm going to explain that to you, but first I am going to get my container here. I have my soil here, and we are going to be doing something called hilling. So we only need to fill this container about 4 inches high. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I've got 4 inches of soil in here. Beautiful, light, fluffy, airy soil. I'm going to take my seed potatoes, and these I'm leaving this size because they are small. And I'm just going to place, let's see if I can bring you guys up a little more so you can see. I'm just going to place each potato just a few inches from each other. That's all. And yes, I am mixing both varieties because you know what? Why not? This is the first of many rounds of potatoes that I will actually be planting. You guys see that? And then we're just gonna cover that with more soil. And then, so I'm planting for March. I'm planting in March to harvest in June. I'm planting in April to harvest in July. I'm planting in May to harvest in August. I'm going to be planting in June to harvest in September, and then I'm going to plant again in July to harvest in October. So I am doing what's called succession planting, and you can do that with any vegetable. You can do that with your lettuce, you can do that with your beans. You want to make sure that since you're growing, you don't want to just grow and then your vegetable burns out, fickles out, and that's it. No, you want continuous harvest. You worked hard for that garden. You worked hard to put that together. So you want to make sure that you are maximizing your yield. Got my potatoes in. I've got them covered. And this method is called hilling. Why? Well, let me tell you. You will know that you will be harvesting potatoes soon because you will start to see a plant growing, not your potatoes. Your potatoes actually grow right under the surface of the soil, which is why we have to constantly add more soil. So as your plant starts to grow, as it starts to grow up, peek out from under the soil, every 6 inches, you want to cover that plant right back up, because your plants are growing up. That means that your potatoes are growing as well. Plants get higher, the potatoes are going to get higher, and they need to grow under the surface of the soil. The potatoes themselves do not need contact with the sun, or you'll get those green potatoes you're not supposed to eat. But you know, we've all had our moments, I'm sure, eating a green potato too, green potato chip too, but that's besides the point. That is besides the point. The point is we want to make sure that we get good potatoes growing here. We don't want the tubers or the potatoes to see the light until it's time for them to be harvested. The last thing to do is water these in, put them in some sun, and let them go. Your potatoes will be absolutely fine. Potatoes are one of the easiest vegetables for beginner gardeners, and I want to encourage you, wherever you are growing, grow some potatoes. Trust me, you will not regret it. And grow them in succession like I am doing. Matter of fact, we'll do it together, because you guys are going to follow me on Instagram at Urban Girl Gardening. You are going to join my Facebook group, Urban Girl Gardening. If you have a question, you're going to email me, theurbangirlgardening@gmail.com, and we're going to talk about it, right? We're going to learn together. We are going to grow together. Thank you so much for being here. Remember to like and subscribe.